Good morning, YouTube. We are back at it again with another video. Today, we have a little bit different of a video. We ended up on our Instagram putting a poll for people to ask questions, or we're going to answer it right here on our YouTube. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead. Tiff is actually going to go ahead and interview me with these questions, and we're going to answer them here for you guys. And we are out back today, so we have this little view. We're going to use this as the backdrop and go through those questions. So let's get it started.
Right, start by telling us your name and where you're from.
So my name is Kel, aka Collection Closet, and we're based out of Central Florida.
Right, how did you get into reselling and how old were you?
Ooh, when did I get into reselling?
How
did I get into reselling? And how old was I? Well, that's like a pretty loaded question, because in terms of reselling, I've been reselling since I was a kid. This thing goes as far back as elementary school. It's actually a funny story. There was a kid in our class who actually had a electronic PDA and a really cool pair of scissors, and I thought I could sell it to somebody else for more money. So I bought it from the kid for like 30 bucks, and then we ended up getting in trouble, and my parents had to go to his parents' house and get my money back and give him his PDA back. So that was kind of a failed mission. But yeah, it dates back since I was very, very young. Even from there, I remember as a kid in middle school, riding on the bus, with Pokemon cards was huge back in the day. We used to trade and barter Pokemon cards, from trying to do my own yard sales as a kid to lemonade stands in the neighborhood. So it goes back pretty far. And what was the other question? How?
Yep, how did you get into reselling?
And then how did I get into it? It was really just kind of a force of nature. I mean, it was something that I saw as an opportunity at a very young age. Before all this, social media and it becoming something that's cool and something that people do, it was just something that I kind of picked up myself.
Are you only selling on eBay right now?
No, so right now we sell on different platforms. eBay is a majority of where our sales come from. We of course also sell on Whatnot, which at one point in time, that was our main source, and we also do a lot of local sales as well. So we do local, like Facebook Marketplace, things of that nature, eBay, and Whatnot.
What was the first item you flipped and how much was profited?
First item I flipped. Well, I mean, that whole PDA and scissors story was probably the very first item. But something a little bit more serious. I don't remember how old I was. It was definitely some time ago, at least probably 10 years ago. I mean, I was probably still in school, in high school at least. And it was pretty much an item that took me to the edge of, wow, this could really be something. Like, you could actually make some serious money reselling. It was a set of Power Ranger, I can't remember what year. I have to try to pull them up and I'll put a picture here, but Power Ranger action figures. And at that point, I think I bought them for like 40 bucks and I sold them for like $300. And I was fairly young, so $300 was a ton of money for me. And I was like, damn, this is something that I need to look more into and take more seriously.
When did you start selling full-time, and what made you want to quit your job and go full force into eBay?
So I started doing reselling as full-time within the past like 2 years, maybe 2.5 years at this point. As far as full-time, I've always sold on and off for many, many years prior, more of like a hobby or more of a side hustle. What was the other part of the question?
What made you want to go full force into reselling?
And so what made me want to go full force into reselling is the opportunity of being able to create and build my own business, the freedom that the self-employment gives you. Previously to reselling full-time, I was technically still self-employed in the sales industry. However, you're not really self-employed in terms of, it's a rat race. You still, even though you can make your own schedule, you really can't, because you have upline who's wanting to make sales and things of that nature. So it was just a way where I can kind of separate myself and pretty much build something for myself and my family from the ground up.
So you only sell clothes on eBay. Why did you pick just clothes and not like collectibles?
So we sell a little bit of everything for the most part. on the various different platforms, including local. On eBay specifically, we mostly do clothing. We mostly do men's clothing. Why that is, just clothing in general is, I kind of wanted to make our eBay store niche down into just clothing. I didn't want it to be an everything kind of store, even though, you know, from time here and there we'll put like Disney pins on there or other cool collectibles or items that, you know, may do very well on eBay. But primarily we just do it clothing, just because clothing, for one, the system would be easy. You know, all the shipping would look the same, picture process will look the same, storage process will look the same to make it easier. As well as clothes, there's abundance of clothes everywhere. You can find clothes literally everywhere. Garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, there's plenty.
In your opinion, what are your bread and butter items?
Bread and butter items, I would say right now, obviously with winter coming around the corner, it's going to be definitely like jackets, but polos is something that we of course sell year round. Polo, I think, would be probably our number one most selling item if I were to look at analytics.
Ralph Lauren?
No, just polos in general, any like a collared polo. But Ralph Lauren as well always sells year round. I mean, you could probably build a very successful eBay business just selling Ralph Lauren.
How many items do you currently have in your eBay store, and what's the goal number?
So right now, I believe we have about 7,300 active items on our eBay. And as far as goal number, I mean, sky's the limit, honestly, with it. You know, there's no set end number in mind that I have in terms of, you know, the height of our eBay business. I mean, obviously we have goal numbers on the way, you know, as time goes on. Right now we're trying to hit 10,000 active listings, and at that point we should be able to add more people to our team to help scale and grow operations. So, you know, at some point in time, you know, when we get to it, you know, the goal of course is to have, you know, a big enough team where a lot of the processes are streamlined. That way, you know, myself and our family can focus on family things and scaling different parts of the business without having to be boots on the ground every single day, you know, doing all parts of the business.
What is your biggest strength?
My biggest strength, I would probably have to say, is my work ethic in terms of, you know, how much I work. I mean, obviously that can be a positive thing and a negative thing at the same time. But as far as strength, I definitely got that from my previous year's experience in sales industry, because sales industry, ever since I was pretty much 18, 19 years old, you know, I was used to working 60, 70, 80 hour weeks every single week, so for pretty much the past 10 years of my life. So, you know, having that structure of working a lot essentially in sales definitely helped roll me over into self-employment. That way, as I got into self-employment, you know, I wasn't afraid to put as much hours as I needed to make it successful.
What would you say your biggest weakness is?
My biggest weakness, and you could probably agree with me on this, is organization. I am horrible. I can be good at organization on some things, or for a short period of time, or when I'm in the mood for organization, but for most of the time, I am horrible at organization. But you definitely helped me out with that. She's definitely the better half when it comes to organization.
But how do you keep your warehouse organized with all your eBay clothes?
So all of our eBay items currently in our warehouse is all done on a rack system. So everything is, once it's listed, is put up on a rack system and a SKU system as well. So every rack is color coded and every item is number coded as well. And I'll do a later video kind of doing a tour of the warehouse and exactly how our setup is.
Okay. Do you get discouraged ever? And if you do, how do you talk yourself out of it?
Do I ever get discouraged? I mean, of course, there's gonna be highs and lows in any person who's self-employed in business. There's always gonna be peaks of the business. There's always gonna be, you know, summits of the business or valleys of the business. So you're always gonna have your highs and lows. You know, just keeping your wins. You know, don't get too high with your wins and don't get too low with your lows. Just kind of keeping a steady center pace is the best way to go about that. That way you don't get too emotional with the highs and lows of the business. But just reminding yourself of what your why is. Your why should be the thing that, you know, strengthens you to keep on going, to keep hitting your goals and not quit.
If you knew what you know now when you first started reselling, what would you change?
If I knew what I knew now about reselling when I first started, what would I change? So it would be essentially running the business as it was at that moment and not running it as what I expect it to be or where I see it going. The reason being is, and what I mean by that is, it's definitely possible to hire way too soon, to get a big space too soon, to buy excess amount of inventory too soon. You can really get yourself in a lot of trouble if you end up running your business as what you see it becoming in the future, because you get all this overhead or all this, you kind of jump too quickly, right? As long as you just focus on what you have right this very moment and focus on what you could currently work with and what your current cash flow is, and running all your numbers and running it from there on, eventually you can then change it and justify it based off of where you're at that particular time, and they can then hire the help if you can afford it, if it works for your numbers. Get the bigger space if it works for your numbers, right? Not getting the bigger space first or getting the employee first to then try to hope that gets you to that next level. You want to get to that next level first and then hire that help or get that bigger space to then catapult your business.
Advice for someone who is looking to start.
So advice for someone who's looking to start reselling is, it is not easy by no means. I mean, it is not a get rich quick. It's definitely going to take some time, but it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible to replace whatever full-time income you're making now. It's very possible to exceed whatever full-time income you're making now. And it's possible to supplement any full-time income you're currently doing if you don't want to leave your current job. Reselling is something that I don't think will ever go away. And it doesn't matter whether you're into clothes, comics, sports cards, coins, stamps, furniture, whatever it is. There's definitely opportunity everywhere for reselling. So whatever you're passionate about, whatever things that you like personally, there's definitely a niche within that in the reselling industry.
And since you've been reselling for a couple of years, what advice would you give somebody who's already started the process but just isn't progressing as fast as they would like to?
First and foremost is don't give up. Keep at it, and then look at your analytics. Look at where things are going wrong. Where is it going wrong? Are you not able to sell enough items? Are you not able to find enough items? You got to figure out where that pain point in your business is that's hindering your ability or holding you back from where you want to be. Right? Being self-aware is super important in any industry, in any business. Failing fast, correcting things that aren't working, and keep moving forward is the most important thing in any business. And of course, doing your own research on eBay, looking at frequently visiting your sold comps, searching by price from a certain price point up. Look at your solds for polos, shirts, pants, whatever it is, and see if there's any new brands that you're seeing pop up that you haven't seen before or don't recognize.
For somebody that's just wanting to start reselling on eBay, how much would that person need to start the business?
That's a hard question to answer, but it's an easy question at the same time. You don't really need much to start a reselling business in general. You could honestly start the business with literally $0, and that's a video a series I'm gonna be coming up with very, very soon. You could start this with literally $0 in your pocket. You could literally start with just stuff around your house. You could start it with things on the curb, free curb alert during trash days. You could do a scrap route. You could do using that to then fuel, to buy stuff at thrift stores. But honestly, like for example, our whole reselling, obviously reselling in the past, but since doing reselling full-time past 2.5 years, I think I started reselling with just $200 in my pocket in terms of what I used to start the business. So you really don't need much. All it takes is a little bit can go a long way. eBay is a great platform where you can turn $5 into $20, 5 into 100. You don't really need much at all. You just need to be able to find stuff, to buy low and sell high. It could be a $1 item. There's so many of us, if you know any resellers or are a reseller, who've got bought an item for $1 and have sold it for 50, bought an item for 5 and sold it for 100. So you really don't need a lot to start, because then once you start selling those items little by little, that money will compound, and it'll continue to grow, and it'll grow your cash flow that you'll be able to use to reinvest into items. It'll grow your savings, and it'll grow your inventory.
It's just about knowing your products and what you're selling.
Yeah. But again, you don't need much to start. You could literally start it for free. And again, we're gonna have a video series coming out very soon on going from 0 to 10, 20,000 to a certain amount. I haven't figured that out yet, but that's coming soon.
And bonus question before we close this interview is, how do you keep up with all the bolo trends, like the newest top brands? And
so keeping up with the trends, I mean, trends are always changing. Trends are always changing over time, the different seasons. You know, seasonality plays a big part, especially within clothing. New brands come up almost, it seems like almost on a weekly basis. There's a new bolo, new brand that comes out in a different category of clothing. So it's really just doing your research. You know, social media is a big thing as well. You know, seeing what the Taylor Swifts of the world are wearing, the A$AP Rockies, the Rihanna, the Drakes, you know, seeing on social media what all these famous people are wearing, because usually, obviously, famous people or people on social media, the big social media presence, usually are the people who start those trends in whatever category. It could be, you know, your favorite golfer, you know, what is he wearing, what polos are he's wearing out on the course, or again, your favorite rapper or singer or entertainer, you know. So social media is a big part of that, as well as seeing trends of different companies, like for example Skims or Nike, or just any company, seeing what kind of items they're putting out, and if there's any similarities in terms of like style or whatever the case may be, like color. Maybe color block is super popular. All different companies are coming out with a lot of different color block items, or striped items, or maybe sleeveless stuff comes back, or you know, whatever the case may be. You're just looking in these different companies to see what their marketing team is posting, as well as mixture with the different celebrities, what they're wearing, what brands, what kind of items, and kind of go from there. All right, guys, and that is going to be it. That is all the questions that we had in the Instagram. We appreciate you guys' questions, and we thank you all so very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We have a lot of great series coming up for the YouTube channel, and I can't wait to share with you guys. So keep on keeping on, turning $1 to a dream. We'll see you guys soon. Peace out. Love ya.